I think all of us will do one namaste. No? I think last
Yeah.
time you did it.
Yeah,
you both
yeah,
did it.
yeah.
I think as you introduced, we will
Yeah.
do a
Yeah.
namaste.
Yes. Namaskar, welcome to Ask Our Experts, a unique show by the National E-Governance Division under Government of India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MeitY. I'm Prithvi Paliwal, and today we are going to discuss Entity Locker, the latest and most exciting offering of Digital India and its unique collaboration with the MeitY Startup Hub, which is a national coordination, facilitation, and monitoring center that integrates all the incubation centers, startups, and innovation-related activities of MeitY. To shed light on this integration and talk about both of these initiatives, we have with us Shri Paneerselvam Madan Gopal, Chief Executive Officer, MeitY Startup Hub, Shri Prasoon Kumar, Senior Manager, National E-Governance Division, and Shri Nirmit Mehrotra, General Manager, NEGD. Welcome, sir. Let's begin by understanding what is Entity Locker, how is it different from the more popular DigiLocker, and what is the purpose behind creating a new digital locker for businesses. Over to you, Mr. Nirmit.
Thank you, Prithvi. So we'll have a small presentation and I'll explain the basics of the Entity Locker through that. Can we have a presentation, please? Yeah. So Entity Locker. So before we come to the Entity Locker, like you must have heard a term called DigiLocker. So like DigiLocker is for an individual. Ministry has come up with a concept called Entity Locker that is for an organizations. So it is for all types of organizations like MSMEs, trusts, societies, companies registered, and etc. So any organization which wants to utilize the power of Entity Locker can go there and register. Yeah, next please. Yeah. Entity Locker. So this slide basically tells you the simple ecosystem architecture wherein we have 4 different stakeholders. At the center, it is an Entity Locker as a platform, and if you see at the top, it shows you the companies and entities. So basically, entire ecosystem is being governed, is being controlled by the entities. So any entity which wants to use the Entity Locker platform can go there and register, and everything will happen with the explicit consent of those entities, those organizations. On the left hand side, if you see, we call them as issuing authorities. So these are the organizations which provides the documents via Entity Locker to the organizations. Documents such as your company incorporation details, your director details, your partnership details, your registration details, and many other types of licenses, and so on and so forth. So all these documents are being issued by some sort of government agency or some organizations, and we onboard them on the Entity Locker, and so that we can give you the opportunity to get those documents in the authentic format without the need to scan and upload the documents at several places like any hard disk or email and like that. On the right hand side, if you see, so these are the entities, we call them as requester organizations. These organizations, so there are many use cases wherein an organization may need a document for some another organization for providing some sort of service. So those services can be availed by these requesting entities by taking the authentic documents from the companies which are availing those services without the need of sharing any unverified documents with them. And so it not only expedite the process, but it also increases the trust in the entire ecosystem. Yeah, next please. So in this slide, as you can see, there are these are the multiple organizations or the agencies with which we are working. There's a GSTN. We provide the GSTN certificate via Entity Locker. Company incorporation details or director details can be fetched via Entity Locker. We are working with the Darpan initiative for bringing the NGO related documents on the platform. For DGFT, for import export code, you can get that as well. We are also working with various discoms to get the utility bills which you might need to get some sort of approval, some sort of licenses. So we are working on that as well. We are working with ICI to bring the audit reports or that UDIN information wherein you can validate the required CA details or maybe some financial details without the need of to go anywhere to log into some different portal. We are working with various certification agencies so that you can get those certificate on the entity locker itself, and you don't need to go separately to their offices to get the services. Udyam certificate is already there on the entity locker. You can open an account using your Udyam certificate number. And we are also working with various e-commerce organizations, especially in the government domain. We are working with GEM so that the onboarding of the entities which provide the services, which provide the products on the portal, can use the entity locker to share the document, and so decreasing the onboarding time, and increasing your revenues ultimately. Yeah, next please. So key features. So as you can see, so the first most important feature is the verification. So we verify everybody. As a company, we verify the company informations or the documents that you provide based on the various APIs that entity locker has, and also the authorized person. We verify them via the DigiLocker. So only the authorized person from a company, from a certain company, can open an account and use that services, and it is not. So there is a due process for the verification process. So instant access to the documents issued by government and regulatory bodies, like you must have seen in the DigiLocker also. You can pull your own documents like driving license or vehicle RCs and Aadhaar card, whatever. So similarly in entity locker as well, you can get the documents that are used, that are being issued for entities on the entity locker. And since they are all digitally signed, so they are totally verified and in the original format itself. Secure sharing with the agencies and partners, like we have seen in the last slide. So they are requesting agencies which can take the documents from your entity locker based on your consent itself, and basis that you can avail the services, like say you can apply for any single window platform, or you can apply for some licenses like entertainment license, file license, and things like that. And lastly, like we also provide a storage space on the entity locker, and the documents that are being stored separately can be digitally signed, e-signed by an individual or by an entity, and then they can be shared further. Also, we have a version control wherein whatever document that you upload, you can lock it so that in case of any changes, there will be separate version, and you don't need to have a store separate copies elsewhere in your hard drive or your computer. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah. So before that, I'll also like to tell you that the entity locker is available on our platform. That is entity.digilocker.gov.in. You can log into the portal and you can register there. There will be a due process, and once the process is approved, and then you will be able to log into your portal and integrate the APIs, or you can fetch your documents and keep it and then share it for further use. Now I'll request my colleague Mr. Prasoon to take you through the steps that startup should follow whenever you are coming for the first time on the entity locker portal. Yeah, Prasoon.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everybody. So I will take you through the registration process of entity as users when the entity or the organization comes onto this platform as a user. So what all sorts they have to go during the registration, and what all facilities are they they will get when they are onboarded onto this particular platform. So broadly, there are only 3 steps wherein we identify the nodal officer who is coming on to register that particular platform. the entity or the organization coming on to register onto this platform is being verified through various parameters. We'll be discussing it one by one in the later slides. And then there is an e-sign of a registration agreement which is done by the nodal officer through an Aadhaar OTP. Going one by one, firstly, as I said, that we will identify and we authorize the nodal officer who is coming on to this particular platform. So we take the Aadhaar number is being taken. These are the screenshots of what that particular person is going through. The Aadhaar number is given through an OTP that has been validated. And if in case that person has the DigiLocker account, the personal DigiLocker account, then they give the 6-digit security PIN. Otherwise, they will have to give certain details like email ID, phone numbers, and then they will have to set their PIN. So once till this step, the individual is being identified and verified. Now we'll identify and verify the organization which is coming on to register. So that is being done through various parameters. To be very precise, there are 4 parameters, that is SIN, Udyam Aadhaar, that is provided by MSME, organization PAN, and GSTN. So all these 4 drop-down list, there will be a drop-down list where you can see all these 4 parameters. You can choose one of them, and then you will be taken to this screen wherein you will have to give the identifying parameters and then upload the physical document scanned to this screen along with the authorization letter. If you remember, I have already spoken about the authorization letter which needs to be given to the nodal person by the senior management. So both of these documents need to be scanned and uploaded, and then probably this is an agreement which needs to be signed by the Aadhaar OTP of that nodal person. So right now what we have done is we have identified the person, we have identified the organization, and also we have bridged the gap between which nodal person for which organization through that authorization letter as well. Now this is how you land, this is where you land when your account is being made. So if you can see in the left hand side, there are certain benefits of facilities which has been given onto this platform. The documents, enterprise vault, shared, how you share it or where someone shares it with you, how it would look, the activities and everything. So we'll go one by one. If in case that organization wishes to fetch any of the document, like for example, if I want to fetch my Udyam certificate. So what I do is I search for Udyam certificate, and I am being taken to this subsection wherein my name of the entity and date of incorporation probably they are already present, pre-filled in a non-editable format, because that has been taken by the one of the document which has been already chosen by me to register onto this platform. And then probably I give my identification numbers, like in this case Udyam number and mobile number are the identification numbers, and then the link of that certificate is being saved in my issued document section. There are certain more parameters, there are certain more facilities like enterprise vault. As Nimit sir said earlier, this is not much difference from DigiLocker platform. So as in the DigiLocker platform you get 1 GB space every individual. So here every individual organization gets a space of 10 GB, which definitely can be scaled up according to your usages. You can make folders, you can scan those certificates. There are many certificates which are critical to that organization, but they are not issued by any of the issuing authorities. So that also can be scanned and kept here. There is an email-like facility also has been made. Now this is one of the very critical features of Entity Locker platform, wherein somebody, if you want to share some documents with some organization or an individual, that is also been logged, and when somebody shares certain certificates or documents with you, that has also been shared. So this all can be used as a log for audit purposes and various other purposes in the future. Like I said, inbox and outbox, the email feature is already there. This is how you share the documents. So entity, you can share it with another entity or giving the PAN numbers or any of the identifiers, and then you can also share it with an individual giving the Aadhaar number. As you can see, this is how it looks when you share it. Moving further, there is one more very critical facility, which is user management, wherein many a times what happens is the account creator, the senior management member creates the account, but he or she doesn't have the bandwidth to operate this account. So what that can be done is they can add the user, give the role-based access to them, and if you can see here, the access also can be revoked or removed at any given point in time. So these are some of the features of DigiLocker, Entity Locker, and how the startups or the organizations can come onto this platform, and then you can register. This is all about Entity Locker.
Thank you for that detailed presentation, sir. I'm sure that would be very helpful for all the viewers. Mr. Prasoon, I would also ask you to emphasize on how Entity Locker benefits emerging enterprises and entities like startups.
Definitely. So yes, absolutely. There are more benefits to it, because it's a centralized platform, and you get centralized access to many of the documents. So one of the major benefit is the centralized access. So any organization can come onto this platform and fetch any of the certificates which has been issued by regulatory authorities or different issuing authorities. Also, there is cost savings, because for startups, the two things matters a lot: the resources, the cost, and of course, when you use this platform, there is a major cost saving which happens. Because all the issuing authorities are integrated here. All the resources what you generally use, the startup use for any of the purposes, that is also been minimized. And of course, faster processes. The process has been faster because this all process is being done real time. So that is one of the key benefits. And as I said in my presentation also, the logs, the benefits, whenever the audit happens, or whenever the fundraising happens, or whatsoever happens with the startup, so they are generally struggling to have the logs, and where to get it, how to get it. So that also can be utilized as a feature of this platform.
Good to know, sir. That was quite an insight into the ecosystem of Entity Locker and how it helps to digitalize business documents, and definitely lots of benefits are there for startups to onboard themselves on Entity Locker. Mr. Madan Gopal, you closely work with startups at MSH. Firstly, let's understand the role of MeitY Startup Hub in aiding the tech startup ecosystem in India. How does it aim to support and nurture the talent in this space?
Thank you, Krithvi. Thank you for having us. MeitY Startup Hub is a MeitY Startup Hub is a independent business division that is set up under Digital India Corporation, and to exclusively support the tech and deep tech startups of the country. We are, in fact, the custodians of tech and deep tech startups in the country to kind of identify the potential startups, nurture them, and scale them to growth is our primary responsibility. And how do we do that? We work through incubators and accelerators across the country, and we support them in multiple aspects. Starts with mentoring, providing the technical mentoring as well as business mentoring support. We provide them with funding support on the as per our schemes that are quite popular with the startup ecosystem. Tide, Samrid, and Genesis, the recent one. So we have multiple schemes to support these startups across the country. And most importantly, we also create an opportunity and market access for our startups, because we believe customers are the best investors, and we want to always find customers for our startups. And last but not the least, we take them to multiple events across the country, startup Mahakumbh and global summits across the country, as well as international programs, international events, to give them a global exposure in the tech and deep tech world, what is happening across the world, and thereby making them a very globally competitive startup in the Indian context. So multiple aspects that we support them with, and we continue to build capabilities across the country to nurture the Indian tech and deep tech startup ecosystem.
That's wonderful, sir. Coming to MSH's collaboration with Entity Locker, do you feel this will make the entire process of bringing a startup to life, from fundraising to legal paperwork compliance, and audits incredibly simple and easy to manage, and much more efficient, especially the challenges that crop up around the funding cycle?
Absolutely. So I think, to be very honest, I think this is going to be a game changer. This is a blessing for the startup ecosystem. Most startups, especially early stage startups, they struggle with compliance and keeping up with the documentation process. And there's sometimes single founders or just a very small and lean team of people who are managing these startups. The entity locker is going to kind of ease the burden of documentation and storing these documentations in there, and sharing this, and more importantly, sharing it with the relevant stakeholders in the most secured form. So this will change the compliance and the governance element in the startup per se, and more, and it will also improve the trust and the credibility of the startup when they share a digitally verified document with their potential investors or potential corporates who are doing their vendor verification process. So and it kind of eases the burden on the startup significantly. It kind of it builds it allows them to kind of have time for doing their more important stuff, because this is already one I think it is a one-time activity. You just need to upload the document, you need to store the document, and then you can share it with multiple stakeholders at any point in time on the go in a secured manner, which is going to be a huge blessing for the startup ecosystem.
Definitely, sir. The Entity Locker initiative can truly be a game changer in India with respect to how entry-level businesses are handled and their documents are managed in a rapidly changing tech environment. Mr. Prasoon, to you, I want to ask that fundraising and compliance, these are the two big steps in any startup's journey which cause the most stress and hassle for every entrepreneur. Let us understand here, how does Entity Locker helps to reduce the challenge when it comes to fundraising and compliance?
Certainly. When it comes to fundraising and when it comes to compliances, of course, the major challenge there with the startups is to gather the documents, gather the right documents at a stipulated given point in time, and they have to provide various documents like financial statements, tax returns, and various other GSTN returns and everything. So that when this fundraising happens, they go pillar to post for getting these things. So that also can be minimized, as they can have their documents in one-stop solution, that is Entity Locker. And one more thing is that when these all documents is being submitted to the fundraiser or probably the panel, then that also needs time to verify these things to the original issuing authorities. But the thing is here, as this is coming from the single source of truth, so that can be authorized, as authorized certificate can be given in a real-time manner, and that particular verification process would not take much of a time. And of course, it enhances the transparency, and many cost-related, resources-related, many things are saved as startup world goes.
Thank you, sir, for apprising our viewers on this crucial aspect of Entity Locker. I hope those watching us right now will surely take benefit of this facility. Mr. Madan Gopal, another key aspect is that of trust. With most nascent startups being founded and funded by first-time entrepreneurs or relatively budding risk takers, trusting a new initiative with vital information can seem like a massive decision to make. Would you like to inspire some confidence among the startups and their teams with regards to the safety aspect of Entity Locker?
Absolutely. I think most, in fact, it will be, as I said, it's a boon for the first-time founders. It is, we saw Mr. Prasoon taking us through the process. It's a very simple one-time registration process, and it is, very user-friendly. Once you have set it up once, I think, the entire usability is very, very convenient. From the security and safety perspective, we all know we have been using DigiLocker, we've been using DigiYatra, we have been using, we are moving towards a very highly digitized ecosystem, and startups are not going to be left behind in this, right? So we want to really assure that the safety and the security element of the DigiLocker as well as the entity locker is at highest. And more importantly, this is in an effort from the government of India side, from the Digital India Corporation as well as NEGD. So I'm sure they have taken care of all the safety and security aspects, and startups can need not worry about the documents, which is a huge step from the current situation where they're probably keeping this in physical copies, they're keeping it up in lockers and keys, which are equally not really reliable. So it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be the ease and convenience around the entity locker is going to be a significant step towards digitization and compliance, and the ability to share it with stakeholders is going to be hugely advantage for the startups.
As you heard it from the CEO himself, your essential documents are absolutely safe in Entity Locker, and thus all startups, medium and small enterprises and business entities are encouraged to sign up on the platform via DigiLocker. सर, एक सवाल जो कुछ व्यूअर्स के मन में इस वक्त होगा वो ये है कि ये तो सारी काफ़ी टेक्निकल बातें हो गई. सपोज़ मेरी टीम में ऐसे लोग हैं जिनका ज़्यादा टेक्निकल बैकग्राउंड नहीं है या जो एक नए सॉफ्टवेयर या एप्लीकेशन को हैंडल करने में उतने प्रोफिशिएंट नहीं हैं. But I want to train them also for the shift to Entity Locker. So in that case, is it possible for a layman tech person to understand and get hold of this app? And इससे एक और सवाल भी आता है टीम एक्सेस का. क्या मैं अपनी टीम को या कुछ स्पेसिफिक टीममेट्स, टीम मेंबर्स को भी अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की एंटिटी लॉकर का एक्सेस शेयर कर सकता हूँ या कर सकती हूँ? निमित सर.
या श्योर. सो जैसा कि आपका सवाल का जो पहला पार्ट है, हमारा जो एंटिटी लॉकर का यूज़र इंटरफेस है इज़ वेरी सिंपल टू यूज़. आप उस पर लॉगिन वेबसाइट पे जाइए, लॉगिन करिए, एंड जो उसके हेडिंग्स हैं, जो उसके कैप्शंस हैं और जो उसको यूज़ करने का तरीका है इज़ ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर टू जो कि आपने डिजीलॉकर में यूज़ करा था. और उसको यूज़ करना भी इंट्यूटिव है, एज इन कि आपको लॉगिन करने के बाद आप, जैसा कि हमने लास्ट प्रेजेंटेशन में भी अभी कुछ स्लाइड्स पहले देखा था, आप जाइए, आप वहाँ पे अपना डॉक्यूमेंट के नाम के द्वारा आप सर्च कर सकते हैं एंड आप उसको पुल कर सकते हैं. आपको बहुत ज़्यादा उसमें नेविगेट भी नहीं करना पड़ेगा. एंड अगर आपने डिजीलॉकर पहले यूज़ करा है तो एंटिटी लॉकर को यूज़ करना तो आपके लिए बहुत आसान रहेगा. इन केस अगर आपने नहीं भी करा है, स्टिल आपको प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा. आप एक दो बार उसको ट्राई करेंगे, यू विल बी एबल टू गेट द कंसेप्ट, यू विल बी एबल टू गेट होल्ड ऑफ द यूज़र इंटरफेस कि वो क्या बोलना चाह रहा है, आप कैसे वो अपना डॉक्यूमेंट पुल कर सकते हैं या कैसे शेयर कर सकते हैं उसको. उसका इनबॉक्स आउटबॉक्स एक ईमेल के टाइप का है और उसका बाकी के जो फीचर्स हैं डिजीलॉकर टाइप के हैं एंड बहुत ही सिंपल वर्डिंग में उनको रखा गया है. तो आई एम श्योर आपको प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी ट्रेन करने में या आगे किसी को ट्रेन कराने में. नाउ कमिंग टू द सेकेंड पॉइंट कि आपको टीम का एक्सेस देना है. तो टीम के एक्सेस के लिए जैसा कि हमने प्रेजेंटेशन में भी देखा था, एक यूज़र मैनेजमेंट सेक्शन है. इनिशियली जो रजिस्टर करता है ऑब्वियसली वही एडमिन रहेगा, बट देन दैट पर्सन आप एज अ कैन फर्दर ऐड मल्टीपल पीपल्स फ्रॉम देयर टीम, फ्रॉम द अदर टीम, सो दैट जो भी रेलिवेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स उस अकाउंट के होने चाहिए, जो उनके एडमिन होने चाहिए, वो सारे आप उनको ऐड कर सकते हैं. इन फ्यूचर अगर कभी कोई पर्सन अवेलेबल नहीं है या उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वो नहीं है, इन दैट केस उस यूज़र को हटाया भी जा सकता है. सो दैट वे आपकी टीम के पास एक्सेस भी रहेगा, दे कैन वर्क ऑन दैट, एंड एज एन एडमिन एज वेल आप एक चेक भी रख सकते हैं कि कौन क्या एक्टिविटी कर रहा है. या दैट्स इट.
That's wonderful, sir. MG sir, for startups, how big an incentive can simplifying such tedious processes and lengthy paperwork load be? We know that time is a currency in the startup world, and saving precious time that could have been lost to visits to various government offices and different departments for basic things like clearances, etc., is such a gift for the entire startup community, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, as you rightly said, time is the currency, and more importantly, startups need to focus on real issues, on customers, on building their businesses and building their organization. Some of these work, some of these routine work like sharing documents, sharing updates can be automated, and that kind of really relieves the burden, especially on single founders and smaller teams. And as I mentioned earlier, this is also something that you can and startups founders are constantly traveling. They are in multiple events or multiple places, and they really have a huge boon in this entity locker, where when their customers or when their investors or when their stakeholders are seeking some document on an urgent basis, all they need to log into their entity locker account and share it from a verified source. And as Prasoon sir mentioned before, it is a verified document going in from a verified platform, and end user, who is the receiver of the document, need not worry about the credibility of the document. And of course I'm saying this for the digitally verified documents. They could even save their own documents which they can need to share, right? So there are this is going to we are all talking about ease of doing business, and this is also a very integral part of relieving the startups and giving them tools and like Entity Locker, to make them do things on the go. And this is, I'm sure, this is a vault that is going to travel with the founder, right? He can access it 24/7. They can access it anywhere where they can have connectivity and pretty much on any device. So it's going to significantly save their time and relieve them of any paperwork which they otherwise have to worry about.
Ease of business it is then. Your pivotal time is being saved through government interventions and innovations like Entity Locker, which you can use to build inventions for India. Prasoon sir, so much talk about Entity Locker, but all startup founders must want to know how much this shift to Entity Locker will cost them. What is the charge or price for onboarding on Entity Locker?
Yeah, so this is an Digital India scheme. This comes under Digital India scheme, and this is the initiative of Ministry of Electronics and IT. So this is absolutely charge free. There is no fee to this. There is no charges to any of the transactions or any of the processes what we just discussed earlier in the presentation, and to the processes. So there is absolutely free.
Entity Locker is all for you, free of cost to use and onboard your organization, save all your documents digitally, and be hassle-free. Mr. Nirmit, MSH is one of your key partners. However, is the Entity Locker platform also integrated with other government services as well? If you would like to tell our viewers.
Yeah, sure. So, we have seen earlier in the presentation as well. So there are multiple organizations which are already onboarded on the Entity Locker, like GST and MCA, MSME for Udyam, and for DGFT. For licenses, we have onboarded various state government agencies, but we are also working with other remaining agencies or the ministries, so that we get the entire bouquet of documents. And eventually a startup or any organization need not go anywhere. They can directly log into their Entity Locker account. They can fetch all their documents, and in the coming time, once we are once our our ecosystem matures, evolves. So in that case, you will be able to share those documents with almost all the agencies, and then you need not visit a government office at all for any kind of purpose, like what we have seen nowadays in DigiLocker. So whenever I want to share or for the documents for opening any account or anything like that, I can do it totally on the click on my mobile, and I don't need to go anywhere. So hopefully in the coming time we'll have that scenario wherein for startups as well, you don't need to go anywhere. You claim your documents from your system from your mobile, and you share your documents from your mobile without going anywhere.
That's wonderful.
So there's literally no excuse for startups, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's free of cost. It's safe and secure, and more importantly, you can access it anywhere and anytime. I don't think there's no more reason for not using the Entity Locker.
Absolutely, viewers. So please make sure that you use this initiative and project that has been launched specifically for startups and entities, and you want to make sure that your documents are safe and secure in the digital world. Viewers, also please type in your questions in the chat box, as we will shortly begin with a live question and answer session where your queries will be addressed. Before we begin our Q&A session, sir, for the viewers joining us just now, Prasoon sir, if you could please once again just specify the types of documents that can be digitally safeguarded with Entity Locker.
Certainly. So yes, all types of documents which is there for the entities or the businesses or the company owners. So those all documents can be fetched here. You can definitely, as Sir was mentioning, we also mentioned in the presentation that those documents which are not being issued by any of the issuing authorities, but those are critical for your businesses to run, which is like ITRs or board resolution copies or whatsoever, the affidavits. So that also can be scanned and kept into the enterprise vault, and then you can have your SIN certificate, you can have your DIN certificate, you can have your FSSAI licenses. Many of the licenses are there, state-based licenses. There are the electricity bills and utility bills are also there for various states, not nationally. But there are many of the documents like these, what startups can go on and fetch, and of course upload it and share it.
All right, that's great. Now we will be taking some questions from the viewers. Our first question is from Suraj Kothali, one of our viewers, who's asking, does Entity Locker have an API or framework that enables private companies to integrate their services directly into their ecosystem? If so, what are the eligibility criteria for collaboration? Prasool sir, if you could please enlighten.
Yes, sure. Yes, Suraj, thank you for your question. Yes, we have published the APIs. You can find the APIs on our website as well. There are all the specification, the API parameters and the specifications are mentioned in that. You can come on to this platform. There is only one prerequisite, as you asked, that you need to register yourself onto this platform and get the relevant credentials in order to use this parameter and use that APIs and to test it and use it further.
I hope we were able to answer your question. There's another question that has come. It's asked, how does the Entity Locker align with MeitY's broader vision of fostering innovation and scaling the Indian startup ecosystem to compete on a global stage? MG sir, if you would like to take it up.
Thank you. I think very, if you look at India's digital stack story, we have globally, we know with our digitization footprint, be it UPI, be it DigiLocker, be it DigiAjra, we have actually set the standards, are very high standards for digitization, and our startups are also very agile and active. And giving them a product like this to kind of relieve them of multiple paperwork, documentation, all the challenges that they face, they are really going to use their bandwidth in creating better products and solutions for the customers and for the global market. I'm sure startups like UPI created a flurry of multiple startup ideas and startup products and services. There will be startups will build around solutions around these kind of products like DigiLocker or Entity Locker also going forward in future, creating a very robust ecosystem of products and solutions based on these kind of locker facilities. So there is, and we are more convenient and ease of doing business for startups. They have more bandwidth to go out and build wonderful global solutions. So that's how it's going to be really helping them.
Absolutely. Another question has come up from Mr. Pradeep Khote. He's asking, how do you resolve conflicts in an entity locker when multiple users try to access the same entity simultaneously? Sir, if you would like to please answer.
Yeah, so like we have seen earlier in the presentation as well, so there is a proper registration flow which you go through. So once any entity is registered, obviously system knows, like say XYZ company is registered. So if somebody tries to register it again, we immediately show them the error message that this organization is already registered and you won't be able to register on the same name again. Along with that, like you have seen in the presentation, we also ask for the authorization and other documents as well. So it is not like anyone can go and register on somebody else's name and create an account. There's a due process of verification, and only once that is verified, then only we approve the account. Our APIs are free to use, but obviously for that an account has to be there, and for that approval process has to be done. So once approved, obviously you won't be able to create another account with the same name, with the same organization, and before that as well, you can't create any account with anybody's name. There's some due diligence as well. Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Mr. Pradeep. Now we're taking another question, which is when the regulatory authority gets the documents using entity locker, will they ask for physical document submissions also at their department? Prasoon, sir?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Krithvi. See, this is as we said, as we were explaining in the presentation also, and sirs explained that this has been recently launched. It is only in August 2024. So what has happened is there is not much of the organizations or the procurement platforms. They have not started using it. They are on the advanced integration platform, they are advanced integration process, but they have not started using it. Yes, in start there will be the physical documents will be taken, of course, but sooner or later, or as this gradually progresses and this gradually matures, this platform matures, then definitely that elimination of that physical document will be done. We are pretty sure in that. We are hoping for the best for that.
Certainly hoping for the best out there. MT sir, there's a question. What key trends do you see shaping the Indian startup ecosystem in 2025? We are in the new year now, so people want to ask that how can startups position themselves this year to capitalize on these opportunities that are being offered by the government?
Well, there are 3 or 4 key aspects that are coming up in the Indian startup ecosystem. One is we see a lot more startups ready to solve Indian problems. In the last, we have about 150,000 startups, and most of them are trying to focus on urban and more urban India-based problems and trying to solve them. But now in 2025 onwards, I think we have startups who are ready to solve Bharat's issues. Tier 2, Tier 3 cities have so much of opportunities to be problems to be solved and opportunities to be tapped into. So a lot of startups are now focusing on how I can build solutions for the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities and the middle, and the real Bharat. And the areas of water, hygiene, sanitation, social impact. A lot of these startups are coming up and they are really making an impact. So that's the first one. Second is they're also at the same time, a lot Indian startups are also focusing on building global quality products, because today India is a large market. Definitely we can be very proud of that. We have a very large market. We can cater to the Indian market and be a very become a unicorn, definitely. But your test of your product in the global standards also is a very important measure of success for Indian products and services. So a lot of Indian startups are looking to go abroad, in especially Middle East, European market, of course US market, and they want to now really test out their quality of products and services in the global stream. So that's another trend that we are seeing very, very significantly. The third one is we see also a lot of mature founders, people who have spent 15, 20 years in corporates, people who have spent, who are now trying to come out and start their own organization, and that in terms of the founder profile is also evolving and changing. That is having a significant impact, and which is going to change the quality of the startups that we are going to see in the Indian ecosystem. So largely, when it comes to the India startup story, we have built a wonderful width across the country. Now it's time to build depth and take the Indian startup story to a global level.
Wonderful. That's great to know, sir. You mentioned about Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, sir. So there's another question that has come up regarding that. How does MeitY Startup Hub plan to engage with startups in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to ensure inclusive growth of the startup ecosystem?
Fantastic. So as I mentioned, there are multiple schemes or multiple programs that MeitY Startup Hub manages on behalf of MeitY. And one of the schemes that focuses on the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities is what we call Genesis. And Genesis is a very specific focus scheme that runs it has been created, developed, and being implemented by us at MSH to focus on the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. So we have identified up to 65 accelerators across the country based out of the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and we would actually be working with them in terms of building their capacity and capability. and more importantly, identifying startups from these ecosystems and their neighborhood communities in these Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and helping them accelerate over the period of next 3 years. And the support for Tier 2, Tier 3 cities in terms of accelerators, we have planned to share the in terms of the knowledge that we have learned from other programs and implement them in the accelerators in the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Startups will get mentoring support both from local mentors as well as mentors from urban areas. They will get exposure in terms of being part of multiple programs that are happening across the country, if possible even international. And last but not the least, we are also going to have a funding program where we match the funding of their what they're able to raise, so that if they're able to raise from an investor, we would match that funding and give them an additional support system to kind of grow. So this is a very comprehensive program for Tier 2, Tier 3 cities by MeitY, implemented by MSH and through the accelerator partners in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So it's going to be a real game changer in building capacity and capability in the semi-urban and rural areas of India.
Thank you for letting us know about that, sir. Prasoon sir, there are a couple of more questions that have come from Mr. Pradeep. He's asking that what are the requirements actually for an entity to register on Entity Locker, and also can e-commerce platforms also integrate with Entity Locker?
Absolutely. Thank you for your question. And yes, we have discussed this in the presentation as well. The first part is there are 3 broad steps. First, that a nodal officer needs to be identified by the senior management, and an authorization letter needs to be given to them. And you need to, out of those 4 parameters, that is SIN, GSTN, Udyam Aadhaar and PAN, you need to identify and pick one of them to register, give of course the details and everything. You need to scan and upload these authorization letters or all these one of the certificate what you choose, that needs to be uploaded. So these are all the criterias by which you can already register. So yes, the e-commerce platforms definitely can integrate with us. We are in talks with many of the major e-commerce platforms, as in the presentation we showed also that government e-marketplace GEM, we are in talks with them to integrate that GEM onto Entity Locker. We are also in talks with many of the e-procurement platforms like CPP and IREPS. These all platforms are on the verge of integration. Sooner or later, definitely we will be integrating with them. So yes, we are integrating with the e-commerce platforms.
Wonderful. Nirmit sir, we were talking about sharing access. Now somebody has asked, can we restrict a user to access only documents related to their work using user management?
Yeah, so like we have seen in the presentation, currently we have a user management wherein you can give the control regarding the admin powers for fetching the documents and for sharing the documents. We are also bringing this feature which you have correctly mentioned, wherein a document level access can be provided to a user, wherein that user can only access or share the document for which he is authorized for, and then that way the other person will not be able to access or even view those documents. So that feature is still in development, but I am sure very soon it will be available on the Entity Locker as a production feature. Yeah.
That's great, sir. Prasoon sir, there's a question regarding the volume of documents that Entity Locker can probably hold. They're asking, during inspections by government authorities, example EPF, when they ask for a bulk of documents, can we share them through Entity Locker?
Absolutely, that can be shared as a feature also in Entity Locker. There's an enterprise vault wherein you can scan the documents, you can keep it in different folders, you can share it through any of the regulatory authorities or the organizations. In this case, the question asked that EPFO, you can share it with EPFO or not. Yes, definitely you can share it with EPFO. The only prerequisite is the EPFO and the sharing authority both needs to be on that particular platform. which is not a bit of a challenge. And regarding the space or whatsoever the enterprise vault can hold, yes, it can hold whatever document and whatsoever document you. Initially, what we have done is we have kept a limit of 10 GB into that enterprise vault. So that I think that would be huge enough for documents to be shared and of course kept into that enterprise vault.
Thank you.
Yes, so I have some
Yeah.
question.
Yes,
How
please.
do you, what are the, how do you really share? What are the sharing formats?
Okay, yes, sir. So sharing, if in case you want to share it with the organization, so the PAN number of the organization can be one of the identifying factors, wherein you give the PAN, you select the organization, then you, in the second or third step, you go to the document which needs to be shared, you select that, and that can be shared to the enterprise vault of that particular entity or the regulatory authority. And if in case you want to share it with an individual, then the Aadhaar number is the identifying factor, sir.
Okay, and can it be done over an email, or is it only wall to wall, locker to locker?
So email, we do not, right now we are only focusing on the enterprise vault or the entire vault to be used, the entire project to be used. So yes, it is from vault to vault right now, as of now. Yeah, definitely going further as the platform matures, as I said, this is just a 6 months old platform.
True.
So that will, a platform matures, definitely we will be bringing more features to it. They will be bringing more enabling features to it. So that will be done, yes.
Wonderful.
I'd also like to add one more point. So like Prasoon has mentioned, so one part is an individual sharing, wherein as an entity you can individually share the document with a particular entity or an individual. But when we are talking about the API, so those requesting entities can you can share those documents via online, via automated process as well. So we have both ways of sharing, via APIs or via a manually process by logging to your account and then sharing it with the person or the entity. So both ways we can share.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir. So you talked about enterprise vault. I have a question that does it ensure digital signature facility as well?
Yes. So once, as we showed in the presentation as well, that once you share it with from the enterprise vault to any of the entities or any of the individuals, you can definitely e-sign it and then share it, because it gives you the self-signing facility. When I share it, it's in a common world also. When I share something to anybody, I should be signing it. So that e-sign definitely facility is available on the platform.
That's great to know, sir. MT sir, there's a question regarding the role of MeitY Startup Hub in ensuring that digital tools like Entity Locker are accessible and beneficial to startups across sectors and stages of growth.
Yeah, so I think this is one such, I should thank my NEGD and Digital India partners. This is one such initiative that we are trying to create awareness among our startups. We would also be, we have launched a campaign among our startup ecosystem partners to encourage startups to sign up for the Entity Locker. It is something that it's an ongoing activity. While the launch has happened, while the campaign to sign up is underway, we will continue to encourage through our accelerator partners, through our academic partners, through our incubators, our endeavor is to bring every startup onto the Entity Locker platform, so that in their own interest to save time, cost, and improve productivity, we would continue to keep. This is an ongoing effort to onboard startups across the country. Yeah.
So be rest assured, we are trying our best. Efforts are on from the government side to ensure that you get the best of all the facilities across India. Great questions we have received from the audience, and I hope we have been able to satisfactorily answer all of you. Towards the end, I have one collective question for the panel. What is the future of this collaboration, and what more is in the pipeline which our startups should eagerly look forward to? I'll start with MG, sir.
Yeah. So as I mean, in the cost of repeating, we really feel that Entity Locker is going to be a game changer from a perspective of ease of dealing with compliance, governance, and enabling startups to maintain their documentation in a very structured manner right from day one. So, you may be, today we have virtual offices, people working from different locations, people working from, some of the startups even don't even have an office. You start working from cafeterias, you start working from, so, as an individual founder, as a small team, today you don't have an excuse anymore to worry about your documents lying in different places. You can consolidate them at one entity locker. You can carry with them pretty much everywhere you want to. You can share them on a secured platform. And so this is a brilliant step in terms of improving compliance and ease of compliance and governance, because startups in the early stage, they do a lot of things to focus on the business. They take the eye off their filing their returns or compliance and those areas. But later, after 5 years, when they are at a stage of raising money, or they want to apply for government contracts, or they want to apply for, then their paperwork becomes a challenge, right? So hence, right now, right from the word go, you can organize your documentations in one place. You can structure it, you can share it. I think there is no excuse for not having documents in order for startups anymore. With Entity Locker, I think the team has made it extremely convenient for them.
Absolutely. Ease of living, ease of business, and ease of governance is the mantra of Digital India. Mr. Prasoon, if you would now like to add on the future roadmap of Entity Locker.
Sure, Krithvi, thank you. As Sir said, nearly covered the entire gamut of what future holds. But yes, I would like to highlight one more point, that many a times what happens is when startups goes on to, after 3-5 years, when they go on to fundraising rounds and everything. So what happens is they sort of leave their core expertise and dwell into the documents and collecting the documents, getting into the issuing authorities and everything. So, but yes, Entity Locker in future definitely will help them to focus their own expertise. But the rest, document management and everything, invoicings and everything would be taken care by Entity Locker. And one more thing I would like to highlight, that many a times what happens is the MSME startups, who are coming from the MSME regulator. So those they do not have the leverage, or they do not have the facility to have these these expensive softwares, or probably the enterprise versions of many of the softwares. So the document management and gaining the documents, sharing the document becomes a very, very huge challenge for them. So that also can be sort of taken by the Entity Locker thing. So yes, future holds a lot of things as the technology is changing day by day. So we are also coming on to many of the features to dwell on the Entity Locker platform.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Mr. Nirmit, your comments on the future possibilities?
Yeah. So, in the simple terms, the first, our target should be to bring you all the documents that are there for an organization, so that you don't need to go anywhere. I know we have just started, so the number of documents right now is not that much compared to what we have in our DigiLocker ecosystem. But we wish to bring you all the documents that are there for the organization on the Entity Locker. Plus, we have apps for businesses and for the retail. Similarly, we also wish to have the app for Entity Locker soon, so that you don't need to log into the website, and then you will be able to control and manage everything from your mobile phones itself.
Well said, sir. All right then, we are set for a future filled with many bright, promising possibilities and digital opportunities for our booming startups to leverage. And with that, viewers, we come to the end of this program. If you have any more questions, you can write to us at awareness@digitalindia.gov.in, and we will upload the answers on the Digital India and NEGD websites soon. In case of any query regarding Entity Locker, please visit support.digilocker.gov.in. And for queries regarding MeitY Startup Hub, write to us at meity-sthub@gov.in. Thank you, Mr. Madan Gopal, Mr. Prasoon, and Mr. Nirmit for being with us today. A big thanks from the entire NEGD to the viewers and all the startups teams who joined. We will see you next Friday, same time, same channel, but with a brand new topic of Digital India.